Hey friends, I just wanted to make a quick video for you about adrenal fatigue and maybe give you an update on how I'm doing. I don't know if any of you have been following me for a while. I said in some of my past videos that I've been recovering from adrenal fatigue. And I want to tell you what that looked like for me and why I wrote it off for a long time and why I didn't really know what it was. A lot of it was just being a guy and being like, whatever, big deal, who cares, it's just life. I think women tend to take things a little bit more seriously and take action quicker. A lot of times as guys, we get this sort of macho man complex and we just sort of like, whatever, no big deal. And you just deal with it. And that's what I did for a while, even though I'm not really a macho guy. I mean, I am, but what? Anyways, so I guess I've had adrenal fatigue since I was about 14 years old, 13 or 14 years old. I want to tell you some of the things in my life that happened that may have and likely contributed to it. And my brother and my sister had some similar experiences, but I had some things happen that were unique to me in our childhood that I think quite possibly were events that I repressed and didn't deal with, and were stressful for me, and also just wore me out. And so let's start from the beginning. When I was a kid, about 2 years old, I had epilepsy, and so I had several grand mal seizures, and a lot of my seizures were grand mals, where I had total freaking out, spasms, couldn't speak, and I had several of them a year for probably the first 10 years of my life, or 11 years of my life. And that is a very stressful thing on your body. I'm going to get into what the symptoms were afterwards, but let's just keep going. Go with the flow. And I also had severe asthma, like really, really bad asthma. And I can remember countless nights where I wasn't sure if I was actually going to live till the morning because I couldn't breathe. I literally couldn't breathe. And I spent a lot of time in the hospital going in, getting the mask on, having to sit in the tent while they pump, what is it called? Ventolin, I guess, was the inhaler, and then they changed it to salbutamol. So there was a lot of times when I had a really terrible time breathing. If I got a cold when I was younger, I'd literally be in bed, being like, just can't get any air, can't get it out, can't get it in. So those are two very, very stressful things. I also had a lot of allergies, like major allergies, like tomatoes, bananas, grass, pollen, trees, milk, so basically everything stressed my system. Parsley, I was allergic to a lot of things. And so a lot of food stressed my system. And so these are three major stressful things in my life. On top of that, I was very emotionally sensitive. And although I did express my sadness a lot, I think. And then when I became, about 17 years old, I started writing songs. So that was very cathartic for me. But I've always been a very sensitive guy, and easy to get hurt. And and with all these biological factors from my youth, on top of we moved around a lot and had some violence in our family, and just no stability, and no real person to talk to, and nobody really offered except for maybe my Aunt Sandy. Was really there for us. She was great. She is great. So thank you, Aunt Sandy. I love you. If you're seeing this. And so, maybe I'll send this to you. And then I just did a lot of stressful things to my body. I mean, I used to skateboard and fall all the time. Like, that's injuries all the time. And then I went and worked at midnights and put myself through that whole shift work thing, and so that's stressful on the body. And then I've just been terrible with making sure I eat. Just eat very little, staying up late. All these things burn out your adrenals. I used to drink Rock Stars, the Rock Star drinks and Red Bulls, playing gigs and pound those. These all burn out your adrenals like crazy. So I did a lot of things to do it. And luckily my friend Paz caught it just by watching my YouTube videos. Actually, she told me, you have stage 2 adrenal fatigue. And I was like, what? Really? And now I want to tell you a little bit about the symptoms I had. I'm not going to get super... You know what? I will get specific. I don't care. I don't really care. Well, the first symptom I noticed, I didn't know it was a symptom, but since around the time we left my dad the last time, I was about 15, I developed motion sickness, which got progressively worse. Also, my digestion just completely shut down virtually overnight. I used to be able to eat anything, and then my digestion just shut down and I couldn't eat anything. Anything I ate, I would get severe gas and bloating and discomfort, and sounds in my stomach. And I just never expressed to anybody. I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody about my problems, I guess. I just sort of dealt with it. And I was like, whatever. And so this went on up till present day, until a few months ago. A few months ago, it's the first time I've had any real success digesting food. It's amazing. And the way I dealt with that, with the gas and the bloating, was I just stopped eating. And on that note, another thing I did to myself was when I was about around 13, just before we left my dad. I think we left my dad for the last time around age 15. And we went and stayed in women's place in a shelter again. We stayed in shelters multiple times, so that's very stressful. And just before that, I started starving myself, and I guess became anorexic. And it wasn't a very long thing; it didn't last very long. But I definitely was starving myself, and I don't know if there were days that I actually ate nothing, but there were days when a lot of days, for months, I did this. At least months. I can't really be sure what time was like, but I did this definitely for months. And so I starved myself, and I thought I was fat. I was skinnier than I am now, or at least as thin, and I thought I was fat. My body was changing with puberty and stuff, and then I sort of believed some things people were saying, even though they were probably just jokes, or just making fun of me, or just trying to make me feel bad. I believed it, and I thought I was fat. Looked in the mirror, saw a little, bump on my stomach, and I thought, oh, I'm fat. if it wasn't perfectly flat like it was when I was a kid, my body just started changing, and I didn't understand it. I didn't have anybody to talk to, and so I started starving myself to try to get skinnier. And I would play basketball late at night. I would go to bed, and then, or I'd go to my room, or I'd go to bed, and I'd look at my stomach, and if it was too big, I would literally go outside and play basketball as hard as I could for however long, 20 minutes or something, and sweat my ass off to try to lose weight. And I remember one time, my friend Mark came over, and he said, "You look skinny. You look like you've lost weight." And inside, I was like, yes. I've done it. I've achieved my goal. I'm skinny. I felt good about it, but I was sickly skinny. I was losing. I had nothing to lose. And so then I started training myself that I didn't need to eat much to survive. And, got kicked out when I was 17. And then I just was living by myself. I didn't know how to cook. And so I would eat like just terrible food, just like Mr. Noodles, or just pasta with salt and butter on it. That's all I would eat, because I was saving up for a computer, stupid. I would sacrifice my health, but I didn't know I was sacrificing. I didn't know that I had any control. I didn't even know what health was. I just thought that, like everybody else, that you just get sick every so often, and that's life, So there was that, anorexia, I guess. Briefly, that was a major stressor in my life. And then I was just also very tortured. I mean, as I still can be. And that's, like I said, that's where the songwriting has come in and sort of saved me, is being able to write, songs. I can show you my songs. This is like 2 months worth of songwriting. Here we go. I wrote an album in 2 months. So many songs here, skipping over, whatever. There's a lot of songs. I just keep writing. And now it's not necessarily, some of it's catharsis, but some of it's just for expression. And that's great. So there's a lot more positivity now. So let's get back to adrenal fatigue. And what were my symptoms? So there was the indigestion, gas, flatulence, there was bloating. And then I would find that I would get really dizzy. And this happened since I was a teenager. I'd get really, really dizzy. And then if I didn't put any salt on my food every so often, I would just get terribly, almost pass out when I'd stand up. And then that was just the way it was. I just dealt with the indigestion and the dizziness, and I thought I had it under control. I didn't think it was a problem. I thought I just needed salt. I thought I was low on salt. Turns out my adrenals were failing for years. And then I was going to move to Winnipeg about 8 months ago, and it didn't work out, and I uprooted myself, didn't have an apartment. I ended up having to stay with my mom, which was a little bit stressful in itself, being a grown man, I guess, swallowing my pride, going and staying with my mom, and which I swore I would never do. The only other time I did that was when I had a car accident. Couldn't stand on my own, so couldn't do anything. I had whiplash. And so I went and did that, and with no car, I was cycling up and down a hill, not eating enough. And I just started noticing extreme fatigue and cloudiness. It was like my head was in a fogginess. And I thought, well, it's because I'm not eating enough. And it was true, I wasn't eating enough. And so I would eat something, and now I'd feel amazing. Like, really disproportionately amazing. Like, just great. And so I was going on these huge roller coasters of energy. crashing really bad, and then feeling really high. And then I finally got a place after about 3 or 4 months to stay with my mom. So grateful for that. And my stepdad, Nick. And then I finally got a place here, and the fatigue didn't stop. I felt okay for a little while. And then I just started getting these incredible bouts of fatigue where I just needed to sleep during the day. Another thing that happened was, it's been going on for years, not my whole life, not since I was a teenager, but if I woke up, I would sleep like a log, like incredibly great. I would sleep amazing. But then if I woke up and went back to sleep, I'd sleep 8 hours, and then I'd wake up. And if I went back to sleep, I'd sleep another 8 hours, like I hadn't slept. It's really bizarre. And I talk to people, and they're like, "No, that doesn't happen to me." You know, maybe a few people, but most people, they're up, you know what I mean, sort of thing. And this has been happening for years. I literally just couldn't get enough sleep. And then, so recently I moved here about 4 months ago, and I started getting this incredible fatigue and fogginess. And I thought, oh, I'm just not eating enough. I'm not getting enough carbs. I started carb loading. I started trying to do 80-10-10. I felt really great, amazing. And then I started crashing again a few days later. Felt amazing, and then crash. Amazing, and crash. And then I was getting this brain fog, and I wasn't sure what to do, with the energy. But I was dealing with that. I was like, I'm getting old or something, And the brain fog was really weird. I was rehearsing for a band, and I would feel fine. I'd meditate. I'd feel amazing. And then I would sit down and practice, which is not really a stressful thing. When you're learning new things, there's a little bit of stress, but it was I'd feel fine and amazing, and then I'd start practicing, and then this incredible brain fog and confusion and fatigue. It's just real brain fog, like I just couldn't think. I just wanted to sleep. And I guess maybe a little bit of depression, a little bit, I suppose. And so I had that, and then before all this happened, I started noticing some sexual dysfunction problems. I'm not talking about not being able to get it up, but the shape, let's just say that. I try not to go too red. Changed, and it kept changing. And so there was that. There was the fatigue and the brain fog, and then I finally, Paz had told me you have adrenal fatigue, and I hadn't told her about any of this. And then I told her, I said, I think I must be deficient in something, so I'm going to have to get a blood test. She says, Ami, you have adrenal fatigue, and if you don't catch this now, if you don't turn this around now, your health will go downhill so fast you won't realize what hit you. And the doctors won't catch it because they'll send you for a blood test, and they won't test for these certain things. They'll test for some things, but they won't catch it because they don't believe in adrenal fatigue. They only believe in it when your adrenals are totally shot and you have Addison's disease. But you have adrenal fatigue, not complete failure, and you need to change your diet, and you need to stop eating so much raw foods because right now it's not good for you. And then we went on this journey, her and I'm really grateful. Thank you, Paz, for helping me. I'm not healed yet, but I'm healing, and I'm starting to get it under control, I think. I'll keep updating you. And so I listened to her, and I believed her. I said, okay, I trusted her, because I believe people say things for a reason, and when somebody has this strong intuition, I decided to trust, and I believe we should trust, and that things happen for our best, highest good. almost everything is for our highest good, unless we're being abused. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And she started sending me recipes. At that point, I couldn't eat anything. My digestion completely shut down. I couldn't even drink water. I drank water, and it would cause digestive problems. It was crazy. I'd have, it didn't matter what I ate. Soup, it would just sit there, and it wouldn't digest, and I'd get gas and bloating, and it just would not digest, and I couldn't go to the bathroom. Constipation was terrible. Severe dehydration. And so she got me on this diet, and I started eating miso soup with some wakame seaweed in it, high minerals. Started taking mineral supplements like spirulina again. I started taking Siberian ginseng, which is the only ginseng you should take for adrenal fatigue. Don't take the other kinds. I started taking ashwagandha, vitamin D supplements, vitamin B12 supplements. What else? And I started eating, miso soup and blended carrots. That's it, with a few spices in it. And it took about 4 days, I would say, of eating that, and even that didn't work. Just, like baby food. I was eating like baby food. And then finally it worked, and I could start digesting things again. But then it wasn't a full healing. It wasn't complete. I was still having a terrible time digesting. It was like it would be better for a little bit, and then it wasn't so good. And then the thing I really noticed that really helped was adding spices into my diet, spicy foods, and then learning about Ayurveda and how to increase my digestive fire and my agni so that I would burn up ama. And I did that through drinking warm water, hot water, and heating up my body because I'm a vata. And if you don't know what your dosha is, I highly recommend checking that out because that can have serious implications on your health if you're not eating for your dosha. It really does work, and it's really worked for me. And now I know that spices can help me keep my digestion going, but I try not to have so much that if I have a lot of spices, I'll feel amazing. And that's because it makes you release adrenaline, and that can actually be a further stress upon your adrenals. So I just have enough so it's spicy and it burns a little bit. And that makes it digestible for me, and it's working. I'm not sure if this is going to work long term. I think so. This is a real journey when you're healing from some type of real serious health. Even though I wasn't having any real symptoms, I wasn't in the hospital, I don't have cancer or diabetes or anything like that. It seems like an illness that's not an illness, so you're just tired, who cares? Whatever, everybody's tired. But everybody's always covering it up with coffees and rockstar drinks like I did for years. And they just don't realize how tired they actually are. And a lot of people are suffering from this. Maybe not as acutely as I was, but a lot of people are. And they're just covering it up with coffees. And so I would suggest getting off the stimulants. The cacao is a major stimulant for a lot of people in the raw food movement. Chocolate, coffees, soda pops, even the diet stuff can be even worse. And energy drinks. Get off all this stuff and see what your energy levels are really like. And I think I want to talk about quickly is I'm going to try to keep this under 30 minutes. I realize this is long, but I think this is an important video to make because adrenal fatigue really affects a lot of people. The thing I want to talk about raw foods, I don't think that you should not eat raw foods, but I've done complete 100% raw foods several times. And for myself being a vata, it's very important to keep myself warm because vata is a very cold body type, it's a cold dosha. And to balance vata, you need to warm up. And so raw foods are amazing for healing, but they're also very, very cooling. And for a lot of people, that's good. But I'm a very chill dude. I meditate a lot. I don't get a ton of exercise, and I don't get angry, things that heat up the body so much, and I'm not incredibly driven to go out in the world and be like a go-getter, and gotta get things done. Things that make you warm, hot inside. And I don't really get terribly stressed. I don't worry a lot. So I'm fairly chill, although I can be excitable. I can be very excitable, but in a happy way. I do get stressful thoughts, and I've dealt with, depression, But I'm now dealing with that through mindfulness and meditation and eating well and just choosing happy thoughts and not putting too much negativity, or even if it's real, what's going on, not too much of the Alex Jones kind of stuff in my life, so that I get down. If I bring too much of that stuff into my life, the truther stuff, I get down. Even if it is what's really going on, I have to be careful and in small doses, see what's going on, but remain detached. And so how am I doing now? I want to talk about. So raw foods can be really good, and I think you have to eat a certain amount of raw foods, but not completely raw. It will work for some people, but it didn't work for me, and I might try it again in the future, and I might do it differently. But up to this time, 100% raw hasn't worked for me. And I don't think you should go all the way swing on the other side and say, well, I'm not going to eat any raw food. Or I'm going to start eating a lot of meat or something. I don't think that's a good way to go either. I think the animal products are very harmful to us. And, you might be okay with small amounts, but it has to be really small amounts, not every single day, I don't think. So I want to give you one quick update. And the other thing that's been going on recently, and so really I don't know where I am at in my recovery, because recently I've had insomnia like you won't believe. Crazy insomnia. And I feel like I've got that under control now. And because I was waking up like 3, 4, 5, 6 times a night. It was insane. And I'd be up like all night long. If I stayed up and I didn't get tired and fall asleep, I could be up all night long, no problem. Not sleeping at all. 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, regularly. Just nothing I could do. I'm using binaural beats to go to sleep. Like, that's the only way I had been able to get to sleep recently. And this has been going on for about a month and a half. And only the last 2 nights have I gotten any decent sleep. It's crazy. And the thing I've done is I've started eating Brazil nuts at night. Like within a half an hour before I go to bed. And I realized that my diet has been too low in fat. Virtually no fat. And I think I've been starving my brain for fat and energy while I sleep. And so by eating Brazil nuts, they say if you have adrenal fatigue, it's good to eat protein and fats at night. Good proteins and fats. Nuts would be good. Or lentils maybe. And so I've been doing that. I've been eating about 6 to 8. What did I just say? What are those nuts I just said? Brazil nuts. And memory was another thing I've had a terrible time with up to this point. Still a little bit, quite a bit. Memory, terrible memory. So anyways, I've been eating the Brazil nuts, and it's really helping with the sleep. Last 2 nights I slept all the way through. I think I woke up one time. No, I think I slept all the way through. Like I got, 6 hours sleep straight, which is really good. 6, 7, or 8, I can't remember. But really amazing. So, I hope this video has given you some insight to what adrenal fatigue can look like. I'm not sure if it looks like this for everybody. It might be different men and women. I'm not sure. But the thing I want to tell you is I watched a seminar called Adrenal Fatigue 21st Century Stress Syndrome. And I'm going to link that in the comments below. Check that out because it's a really good seminar. Talks about some good supplements. talks about the importance of getting good sleep, and a lot of different things about adrenal fatigue and it's a really well put together presentation. And I learned quite a few things through that. I can't remember what my point was I was going to make. But take care of yourself. If you want to write me and you have any questions about adrenal fatigue, I'll help you however I can. However, I'm still recovering, and it seems like it's going to take a long time. It seems like I'm going to have to really be diligent and really make sure I eat enough during the day, because I just have this terrible habit of not eating until 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's ridiculous, and I've been doing this for years, and I know this is what also has caused malnutrition. So making sure I eat regular meals throughout the day, and it's just because I've trained myself through the anorexia to not need a lot of food, and then also through the digestive distress to not want a lot of food, and because I just starved myself for a long time. That's how I dealt with the gas. Was I stopped eating, because when I didn't eat a lot, I didn't have the gas. So it was simple. I just won't eat a lot. I'll just stay skinny. But it has had some real effects on my health. And at least I know now, though, knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe. And now I can take the appropriate steps to heal and to be on a path for good long-term health. And so I'm going to put some articles below about adrenal fatigue and maybe a few videos. And I hope that this is, if you have adrenal fatigue, don't take it on as a label, as an identity. Realize that it's impermanent, like all things, and you can heal from it, and you don't have to become a person with adrenal fatigue. You can be someone who is, you can just be yourself, and realize that this is something that's happened in your life, and you can recover from it and be completely healthy again. And so I love you. Have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful life. And I'll talk to you soon. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll try to help you out. Or send me an email.